In the shadows of the city that never sleeps, where the wind howled like a hungry beast and the cold gnawed at his insides, Ethan, a kid barely 8, shuffled past the emergency doors of New York General. His eyes, hollow and old beyond their years, stared blankly ahead, trying to ignore the ache in his stomach, a constant reminder of days without food. The city rushed around him, a blur of faces and hurried footsteps, none noticing the small, fragile figure huddled against the brick wall. Then, a man in a pristine white coat cut through the chaos, a beacon in the urban gloom. He moved with purpose, urgency etched in his stride, and as he hurried across the street, something slipped from his pocket. A rich leather wallet, fat with cash and credit cards. A world Ethan had only glimpsed in fleeting moments. It landed with a soft thud on the unforgiving sidewalk, a treasure trove in the hands of a street kid. Ethan watched, heart hammering against his ribs, as the wallet fell. He hesitated, a battle raging inside him. Take it? The thought screamed in his head, a siren call promising escape from the gnawing hunger. He glanced around, but the city was indifferent, a million stories unfolding at once. The man in white, oblivious, was already disappearing into the urban maze. Ethan bent, fingers trembling, and scooped up the wallet. He flipped it open, the scent of rich leather filling his nostrils. Golden letters gleamed on plastic cards. Compartments overflowed with crisp bills, more money than Ethan had ever imagined existed. His grubby fingers, calloused and raw, traced the edges of the bills, a jolt of electricity shooting through him. This was it, the answer to the hunger that had become his constant companion. Across the street, the neon glow of a diner beckoned, its window display a cruel taunt. Mountains of golden fried chicken, the aroma thick and intoxicating. Ethan's stomach roared in protest. He could taste it, the crispy skin, the juicy meat, a feast he had only dreamed of while scavenging in dumpsters behind the diner, hoping for scraps, a discarded drumstick, a forgotten wing, treasures in his world. With the wallet heavy in his hand, the diner's promise was almost unbearable. He could walk in there, order everything he craved, become someone else, someone who didn't rummage through trash. But then, a whisper echoed in his mind. The gruff voice of Joe, the old man who had found him, a lost 2-year-old clinging to the tattered skirt of a woman who barely registered his existence. Joe's words, etched in his memory, "Honesty, kid, even when it hurts." Ethan's small hand tightened around the wallet. His life had started in a different kind of darkness, a different kind of cold. He remembered fragments, blurry images of Brenda, his mother, her face a mask of weariness, her steps unsteady as she navigated the city streets, the stench of cheap liquor clinging to her like a shroud. He was 2, a tiny shadow trailing behind her, his small hand clutching her skirt for a semblance of safety. She walked with a vacant stare, lost in a world of her own making, oblivious to the chaos around them, the blare of horns, the crush of people. Her aimless steps led them down a narrow alley, a concrete canyon where sunlight never dared to trespass, a haven for the forgotten souls of the city. Homeless figures huddled in the shadows, seeking refuge from the relentless heat, a community of despair. Ethan, his young eyes wide with confusion, clung tighter to Brenda's skirt, the alley a menacing unknown, her presence his only anchor. Hunger gnawed at his small stomach, but cries were useless, unheard in Brenda's self-imposed isolation. Joe, a weathered face etched with loneliness but softened by kindness, watched from the periphery, his heart aching at the sight of the neglected child. He knew Brenda, knew her descent into the bottle, knew the danger Ethan was in. With a heavy heart, he approached Brenda, offering a handful of crumpled bills. It was wrong, he knew, buying a child, but staying with Brenda meant a slow, agonizing decline for Ethan, traded for the next bottle, forgotten in her alcoholic haze. Brenda, her eyes glazed, didn't hesitate. She snatched the money, thrusting Ethan towards Joe without a word, without a backward glance. Ethan, bewildered, looked back as Joe led him away, Brenda disappearing into the shadows, swallowed by the alley's darkness. A silent farewell. That alley, that moment, was the dividing line. Ethan stepped out of neglect and into a life defined by Joe's gruff love. Joe's calloused hand, surprisingly gentle, enveloped Ethan's small one. "Come on, kid," he'd rasped, his voice rough but kind, and they walked away from the alley, from Brenda, from the darkness. Joe never looked back. He made a silent vow to give Ethan a life. The life Brenda had thrown away. He became Ethan's world, his protector, his father in every way that mattered. The city streets became their battleground, their classroom. Joe scavenged for scraps, collected cans, hauled junk, every penny a victory, every meal shared a feast. Ethan, who had known only Brenda's cold indifference, blossomed under Joe's warmth, learned to trust, to smile, to dream of a future beyond the alley walls. Joe's love was a shield against the city's harshness, a bond forged in shared hardship, strengthened by unwavering devotion. They faced eviction notices, food shortages, the constant threat of the streets, but Joe always put Ethan first, his small frame wrapped in Joe's threadbare coat, his belly filled with Joe's meager rations. Years blurred into a relentless cycle of survival. Then, the city cracked down, sweeping the homeless from the sidewalks, pushing them further into the margins. Winter descended, a brutal assault of icy winds and biting cold. Joe and Ethan huddled in doorways, under bridges, seeking fleeting shelter, the cold seeping into their bones. Joe, his body weakened by years of struggle, succumbed to pneumonia. He was taken to New York General, the same hospital where Ethan now stood, wallet in hand. Ethan, too young to grasp the finality of it all, haunted the hospital entrance, his temporary home, the sterile smell a stark contrast to Joe's familiar scent of sweat and old cigarettes. Whispers drifted on the night air, hushed conversations between guards, snippets about the old street bum with the kid. Ethan, ears sharp with survival instinct, pieced together their meaning, a knot of fear tightening in his chest. Then the word came, cold and final. Joe was gone. Death. A word Ethan barely understood, but the emptiness in his chest was a language all its own. Joe, his anchor, his protector, vanished. The hospital staff talked about indigent burial, bureaucratic jargon that meant nothing to Ethan. Alone, 8 years old, adrift. The streets became his again, colder, emptier, without Joe. Survival was a raw, desperate scramble for scraps, for handouts, for a sliver of warmth. The hospital, ironically, offered a strange comfort, a place where Joe's ghost still lingered. But suspicion followed Ethan like a shadow. People saw a street kid, a threat, a potential thief. Their eyes, cold and assessing, mirrored the city's indifference. Days bled into weeks. Ethan drifted, lost, the weight of Joe's absence crushing him. Then, the wallet. Now, clutching the rich leather, hunger twisting his gut, Ethan sat at the hospital entrance, the neon diner sign flickering across the street. Joe's words echoed again. "What's ours, kid? God gives us. Don't take what ain't yours." Ethan knew, despite the hunger, despite the temptation, he knew what Joe would have done. He held the wallet tight, his small body trembling, not from the cold, but from the weight of his decision. He waited, watching faces blur in the hospital entrance until he saw him, the man in white, the doctor, hurrying back, brow furrowed with worry. Ethan stepped forward, his voice barely a whisper. "Sir, you dropped this." The doctor startled, his hand flying to his pocket, eyes widening in disbelief as he saw the wallet in Ethan's outstretched hand. Relief washed over his face, quickly followed by surprise, then gratitude. He snatched the wallet, fumbling to check its contents. Then he looked at Ethan, really looked, past the dirt, past the rags, into the clear, honest eyes. "Thank you, son," he said, his voice warm. "You did the right thing." Ethan just nodded, a small flicker of pride warming him despite the gnawing hunger. He had chosen Joe's way. As the doctor turned to leave, Ethan's gaze drifted back to the diner, the golden chicken, the tantalizing aroma. But the hunger was different now, overshadowed by a quiet satisfaction. He had passed a test only Joe would have understood. He turned, his small figure disappearing into the city's shadows. Another night on the streets, stretching ahead. Dr. Michael Evans, wallet secure in his pocket, paused, a nagging feeling pulling him back. He glanced in the rearview mirror, catching a glimpse of Ethan, a small, solitary figure disappearing towards the diner's overflowing trash cans. The boy's honesty, his quiet dignity, struck a chord. Compassion, a rare emotion these days, stirred within him. He had to know more. He pulled over, got out, and walked back towards the diner. Ethan was there, rummaging through the bins, his small frame bent with exhaustion. Dr. Evans approached cautiously. "Hey, kid," he said softly, not wanting to startle him. Ethan flinched, turning slowly, wary eyes fixed on the approaching figure. It was the doctor, the man in white. "You gave this back," Dr. Evans said, holding up the wallet. Ethan nodded, silent, his gaze shifting to the ground. "Doctor." Evans felt a pang of sympathy, seeing the boy's tattered clothes, the dirt-streaked face, the haunted eyes. "I'm Dr. Evans," he offered, extending a hand. "What's your name?" "Ethan," the boy mumbled, his voice barely audible. Dr. Evans smiled, a genuine, warm smile. "Ethan," he repeated, "how about we grab something to eat? I'm suddenly craving some of that diner chicken." He gestured towards the brightly lit establishment. Ethan's eyes widened, a flicker of hope igniting in their depths. Chicken. Real food. Not scraps from a dumpster. He nodded, hesitant but eager, a faint smile touching his lips. Inside the diner, Dr. Evans steered Ethan to a quiet booth, away from the curious stares. He ordered a mountain of fried chicken, enough to satisfy Ethan's rumbling stomach, and a coffee for himself. As Ethan devoured the chicken, his hunger finally abating, Dr. Evans gently probed, asking about his life, his story. Slowly, haltingly, Ethan shared his world. Joe, the streets, the hunger, the loneliness. He spoke of Joe's kindness, his teachings, the gaping hole Joe's death had left in his life. Dr. Evans listened, his heart aching for the boy's resilience, his quiet strength. After the meal, Dr. Evans offered a safe haven. "Ethan," he said, "come back to the hospital with me. We can figure things out, find some help." Ethan, his guard slowly melting away, nodded, gratitude shining in his eyes. He had found kindness in the most unexpected place. This meal, this encounter was more than just food, it was a lifeline. Back home, the sterile comfort of his apartment felt hollow. Ethan's face, etched with hardship and honesty, haunted Dr. Evans. How could a child so young bear such burdens? As the shower spray washed away the day's grime, memories flooded in. Annabella, his wife, her laughter, her light, extinguished too soon by a cruel twist of fate, a brain tumor that had stolen her away, leaving a void that nothing could fill. He remembered their shared dreams, a house filled with children's laughter, a family they had longed for, prayed for. But fate had dealt another blow. He couldn't have children. Devastation had settled in, a permanent ache in their hearts. Annabella's absence was a constant, a silent scream in his soul. The encounter with Ethan, however, had stirred something dormant within him, a flicker of hope, a sense of purpose he hadn't felt in years. Had he done the right thing, letting Ethan go back to the streets, even with a full stomach? Restlessness gnawed at him. He couldn't shake the feeling that their paths had crossed for a reason. He turned off the water, a decision forming in his mind. He couldn't ignore the pull he felt towards Ethan. He dressed quickly, grabbing his keys, and headed back out into the night. Whatever anyone thought, whatever the implications, he had to find Ethan again. He owed it to the boy, and perhaps to Annabella's memory. Driving through the city's neon-drenched streets, Dr. Evans caught his reflection in the rearview mirror, a weary, determined face. Would Annabella approve? He knew, deep down, she would. He was doing this for Ethan, but also, perhaps, for himself. He retraced his steps to the diner, the comforting aroma of fried chicken drawing him in again. He scanned the booths, his heart quickening as he spotted Ethan, hunched over a menu, his brow furrowed in concentration, as if deciphering ancient hieroglyphs. "Ethan," Dr. Evans called softly. The boy jumped, startled, eyes widening as he recognized the doctor. Hesitation flickered across his face, a fleeting instinct to run, but Dr. Evans's kind eyes, the memory of the shared meal, held him rooted to the spot. Dr. Evans smiled reassuringly. "Mind if I join you?" he asked. "Thought we could talk some more, maybe grab another bite?" Ethan looked at him, a mix of caution and hope in his gaze. He wasn't used to this kind of attention, especially from a stranger. It felt unsettling, but the hunger was a constant companion, and the offer of food, of company, was a powerful lure. I don't have any money," Ethan mumbled, still staring at the menu. "Don't worry about it," Dr. Evans said, waving a dismissive hand. "It's on me." Ethan hesitated, studying Dr. Evans, trying to decipher his motives. Another meal, fried chicken. It was a small thing, but for Ethan, it was a feast, a taste of a life he could barely imagine. "Pick whatever you want," Dr. Evans urged, noticing Ethan's indecision. "I'm hungry too." A shy smile touched Ethan's lips. He pointed to a picture on the menu, a glistening piece of fried chicken, his eyes sparkling with anticipation. Dr. Evans ordered, and they settled into a booth by the window, the city lights painting a vibrant backdrop to their unlikely meeting. As they waited, Dr. Evans gently steered the conversation, drawing Ethan out, learning more about his life on the streets, his makeshift family with Joe, the gaping void Joe's death had left. Ethan, initially reserved, slowly opened up, sharing his story, his voice gaining strength with each bite of the crispy chicken. Dr. Evans listened, offering words of encouragement, sharing snippets of his own life, the loss of Annabella, the ache of childlessness, a shared vulnerability bridging the gap between their vastly different worlds. The conversation flowed easily, a sense of connection forming, an unspoken understanding that transcended their circumstances. When the food arrived, Ethan ate with a quiet intensity, savoring each bite as if it were a precious gift. The crispy skin, the juicy meat, a symphony of flavors he had only dreamed of. Dr. Evans watched, a warmth spreading through him, a feeling he hadn't experienced in years. This boy, this small, resilient soul, had stumbled into his life, and somehow everything felt different, brighter. As the night deepened, Dr. Evans knew this was no chance encounter. He felt a profound connection to Ethan, a deep-seated urge to help him, to offer him a future beyond the streets. But a single meal was just a temporary fix. "Ethan," Dr. Evans said, his voice gentle but firm, "I'd like to continue this conversation. How about you come to the hospital with me tomorrow? I can show you around. Maybe we can find a way to help you." Hope flared in Ethan's eyes, surprise mingled with disbelief. Someone like Dr. Evans, a man of wealth and standing, wanting to help him. It was almost too good to be true. A shy smile spread across Ethan's face. "I'd like that, Dr. Evans," he whispered, gratitude flooding his voice. "Thank you for everything." Dr. Evans smiled back, a profound sense of purpose settling within him. Fate, destiny, whatever it was, had brought them together. He had a feeling this was just the beginning. Before heading home, Dr. Evans stopped at a clothing store, the brightly lit windows a stark contrast to Ethan's threadbare clothes. Ethan, awestruck, stared at the racks of new clothes, a world he had only glimpsed from the outside. Dr. Evans picked out jeans, shirts, a warm jacket, making sure they were comfortable, practical, but also stylish. Ethan, hesitant but thrilled, accepted the clothes with a shy smile, a spark of joy igniting in his eyes. Dressed in his new clothes, a transformation already underway, Dr. Evans took Ethan to his apartment. He told the doorman Ethan was his nephew, visiting for a few days. The doorman, familiar with Dr. Evans, nodded without question, a silent acceptance of this unexpected guest. Ethan, wide-eyed, took in the clean, polished lobby, a world away from the grimy streets. Upstairs, Dr. Evans showed Ethan to a guest room, a comfortable, well-furnished space, a sanctuary of warmth and safety. "This is your room for now, Ethan," Dr. Evans said, watching the boy's reaction. "Make yourself at home." Ethan's eyes scanned the room, taking in the soft bed, the clean sheets, the neatly arranged furniture. "It's beautiful," he breathed, a sense of wonder in his voice. "Thank you, Dr. Evans." Dr. Evans placed a hand on Ethan's shoulder, a silent promise passing between them, a shared moment of understanding and hope. "Let's get some milk and cookies," he suggested. "Then we can talk about what comes next." In the kitchen, over warm milk and sweet cookies, the conversation flowed, Dr. Evans learning more about Ethan's life, his dreams, his quiet resilience. As evening settled, Dr. Evans gave Ethan a tour of the apartment, showing him where everything was, making sure he felt safe, welcomed. Later, tucked into the soft bed in his new room, Ethan felt a sense of peace he hadn't known in years. Safety, comfort. It was almost too much to believe. Dr. Evans, settling into his own bed, reflected on the day, a sense of quiet satisfaction settling over him. Bringing Ethan into his life felt right, profoundly right. There was something special about this boy, something that resonated deep within him. It was as if a new chapter was beginning, a chance to rewrite his own story, to perhaps finally fulfill the dreams he and Annabella had shared in a way he never could have imagined. That night, under the same roof, Dr. Evans and Ethan, two lost souls, began to build a new kind of family. In his dreams, Annabella was there, her smile radiant, a silent blessing on this unexpected turn of events. Dr. Evans drifted into sleep, a familiar peace settling over him, but this time it was different, infused with a newfound warmth. He dreamt of Annabella, clear and vivid, sitting on the edge of his bed in the apartment he now shared with Ethan. Her presence filled the room with a gentle light, her smile as radiant as he remembered. She began to sing, a soft melody, a lullaby she had always promised to sing to their child, a song of hope and love. When the song ended, she looked at him, her eyes filled with an immeasurable love. "Michael," she whispered, her voice like a soft breeze, "you must help this boy. He is good. So good. He could have taken the wallet, but his honesty shone through. He is meant to be with you. He will be like our son. Dr. Evans was speechless, tears welling in his eyes, Annabella's words resonating deep within his soul. You are a good man, Michael, she continued, her hand reaching out, a phantom touch on his cheek. I always knew it. Now, you have a chance to make a real difference. He needs you, Michael, and you need him. Together, you will find the happiness we always dreamed of. He tried to speak, to reach out to her, but words failed him. He simply gazed at her, letting her love wash over him. She smiled, that familiar, all-knowing smile, the smile that always told him everything would be all right. Then she faded, the room slowly returning to the quiet stillness of the night. Dr. Evans woke with a start, the lingering warmth of Annabella's presence still palpable. Her words, her song echoed in his heart, a clear directive, a renewed purpose. He knew what he had to do. Annabella's vision, her blessing, was etched in his mind, in his soul. He got out of bed, a sense of determination surging through him. He would honor her wish, fulfill the mission fate had entrusted to him. Ethan, sleeping peacefully in the next room, had no idea his life was about to change forever. With a heart filled with hope, with Annabella's love guiding him, Dr. Evans was ready to become the father he had always longed to be. Ethan woke slowly, the unfamiliar comfort of the soft bed enveloping him. For a moment, he wasn't sure if it was real, if he was still dreaming. Clean sheets, a warm room, a sense of safety. It was almost too much to believe. He sat up, rubbed his eyes, and looked around the room, the cozy space a stark contrast to the cold, harsh streets he knew so well. He got out of bed, his feet sinking into the plush carpet, and walked to the bathroom. He turned on the tap, letting the water run over his hands, splashing it on his face. He lifted his gaze to the mirror, a reflection he hadn't seen clearly in a long time. A boy with wide, curious eyes, a face still bearing the marks of hardship, but now a new light flickered within them, a spark of hope. As he looked in the mirror, the door opened softly, and Dr. Evans stepped in, a warm smile lighting up his face. "Good morning, Ethan," he said, his voice gentle. "Sleep well?" Ethan turned, still a little shy. "Yes, sir," he mumbled. "Thank you." Dr. Evans approached and sat on the edge of the bed, his gaze earnest, direct. "Ethan," he said, "we need to talk. I've been thinking a lot about how I can help you. I see something special in you, Ethan. Honesty, kindness, resilience. You deserve a chance, a real chance at life." Ethan listened intently, his eyes fixed on Dr. Evans, hope swelling in his chest. Dr. Evans continued, his voice filled with emotion. "I want you to stay here, Ethan, with me. This can be your home. I'll do everything I can to make it happen. A safe, loving home. A chance to go to school, to have a future. I know I can't replace Joe, but I promise to take care of you, to give you the love and support you deserve. What do you say, Ethan?" Ethan's heart pounded. Words tumbled in his mind, but none seemed adequate. Dr. Evans's words were a dream, an impossible dream come true. He looked at the doctor, tears welling in his eyes, tears of gratitude, of disbelief, of overwhelming joy. I would love that, sir," he choked out, his voice thick with emotion. Thank you so much." Dr. Evans smiled, relief washing over him, replaced by a surge of happiness. He stood, opened his arms, and Ethan, without hesitation, rushed into his embrace, burying his face in Dr. Evans's chest, finally, truly feeling safe, loved. "Let's start a new life together, Ethan," Dr. Evans said, holding him tight. "I'll do everything to make sure you have the bright future you deserve." And then with those words, Dr. Evans and Ethan stepped onto a new path, a journey of hope, love, and endless possibilities. Dr. Evans initiated adoption proceedings, a request that inadvertently unearthed Brenda, Ethan's biological mother. Upon learning of Dr. Evans's wealth, Brenda materialized, a ghost from Ethan's past claiming sudden maternal affection. She spun a tale of regret, of change, of a mother's love rekindled, demanding Ethan understand her past failings, her inability to care for him then. Now, she insisted, she wanted to be a part of his life, to live with him in Dr. Evans's luxurious apartment. Ethan, despite his young age, saw through the charade. He remembered Brenda's neglect, her indifference, Joe's selfless love. He told Brenda, his voice small but firm, he didn't want to see her, that he had found his family, someone who loved and protected him, just like Joe. Brenda, enraged, threatened to block the adoption, revealing a life far removed from her fabricated narrative. She lived in squalor, her days consumed by alcohol, her occasional earnings vanishing into a bottle. Days later, Brenda reappeared at Dr. Evans's door, her facade crumbling, demanding money in exchange for her consent to the adoption. Dr. Evans, disgusted, refused, vowing to fight for Ethan through legal channels. Months turned into years, a protracted legal battle, a tug of war for Ethan's future. But Dr. Evans, fueled by his unwavering love for Ethan and Annabella's silent blessing, persevered. Finally, the day arrived. The court decreeing Ethan officially Dr. Evans's adopted son, Ethan Evans, a new name, a new identity, a new life. The journey had been arduous, but Dr. Evans's resolve never wavered, his love for Ethan, his guiding star. Ethan blossomed under Dr. Evans's care, his innate intelligence flourishing. He devoured books, excelled in school, his thirst for knowledge insatiable. With Dr. Evans's unwavering support, Ethan pursued higher education, choosing pediatrics as his calling, a path forged from his own childhood vulnerabilities, a desire to heal the hurt he had witnessed, the pain he had endured. His dedication earned him accolades, respect, admiration. He graduated at the top of his class, Dr. Evans beaming with pride, watching his son embark on his chosen path. At 25, Dr. Ethan Evans, true to his compassionate spirit, established a free clinic in the city's underserved neighborhoods, a haven for children like he once was. He founded a support center, a sanctuary for street kids, a place of refuge, of healing, a testament to his own journey from the streets to success. It was more than just shelter. It was a lifeline, offering food, medical care, counseling, a chance to rebuild shattered lives. Ethan, now Dr. Evans, assembled a dedicated team, volunteers driven by the same passion, the same commitment to service, a network of hope spreading through the city. The support center grew, expanded, a beacon of light in the urban darkness, offering not just immediate relief, but tools for self-sufficiency, for dignity, for a future. Every step Ethan took was a tribute to Joe's unwavering honesty, to Dr. Evans's boundless love, the two father figures who had shaped his destiny. Every child he healed, every life he touched, was a testament to his extraordinary journey, a boy from the streets, now a respected physician, a compassionate leader dedicated to healing the world, one child at a time. Dr. Evans watched Ethan's triumphs, his heart overflowing with pride. Each achievement, each child helped, was a personal victory, a validation of his decision, of Annabella's silent wish. Almost every night, Annabella visited him in his dreams, her song echoing in the quiet stillness, her smile a radiant blessing, a silent acknowledgement of his love, his generosity, his transformation of a lost street kid into an extraordinary man. Ethan, in his heart, had forgiven Brenda, understanding the complexities of her struggles, the darkness that had consumed her. But forgiveness didn't erase the past, didn't rewrite his story. Joe and Dr. Evans were his fathers, his true family, the anchors in his life, the guiding lights on his path. Brenda, a distant shadow, remained on the periphery, a reminder of a life he had escaped, a past he had overcome. Ethan continued his work, his passion undiminished, Joe's words, Dr. Evans's love forever etched in his heart, guiding his every step.